This is identical with 7 in Vimanavathu. Link. Vimanavathu. The story of Nandaka. 200 years after the passing away of the teacher, King Pingla was reigning in Suratha. The head of his army was Nandaka, of heretical views. The redactors tell this story about them. Raja Pingalaka, it is said, was lord of the people of Surat city. He had gone on a service to the Mauryas and again was on his way back to Surat. In the heat of the noonday the king came to a swamp. He beheld a delightful road, haunt of the petas. The king told his driver, "This is a delightful road. Peaceful, safe, lucky, follow this course, charioteer." From this point the king of Surat with his army of 4 types. Elephants, horses, chariots and foot soldiers. Proceeded upon it at the head of the men from Surat. With a flurried look a man thus addressed the ruler of Surat. "We are going on a wrong road. It is frightful, hair-raising. In front a way is seen, but behind it is not seen. We are travelling on a wrong road near Yama's men. A non-human odor is blowing. A dreadful noise is heard." Alarmed Te Rajab of Surat thus spoke to the charioteer. "We are going upon a wrong road. It is frightful and hair-raising. In front a way is seen, but behind it is not seen. We are travelling on a wrong road near Yama's men. A non-human odor is blowing. A dreadful noise is heard." He mounted upon the back of an elephant. And looking toward the 4 directions, he saw a banyan with its abundant shade. The tree resembled a dark blue thundercloud in color, and its top had the hue of mist. The king asked his driver, "What is that big object which we see, like the dark blue thundercloud in color and having a top with the hue of mist?" Charioteer: "Sire, that is a banyan with abundant shade. It is a tree that looks like the dark blue thunder cloud in color, and its top has the hue of mist." The Raja of Surat set out in the direction in which was seen that large tree, which in color had the likeness of a dark blue thunder cloud and whose top had the hue of mist. Having descended from the back of the elephant, the king approached the tree and with his ministers and attendants sat down at the roots of the banyan. He saw a full water jar and cakes. Then a man who had the appearance of a deva and was bedecked with all kinds of ornaments, came up and thus addressed the Raja. "Welcome, sire. You have not come far, lord, drink water. Eat cakes. O conqueror." The king with his ministers and attendants drank water and ate cakes, then the king spoke thus. "If now I ask, are you a deva, or a Gandharv, or Saka Purine Dada? Not knowing you we ask. How may we know you?" Peta: "I am not deva, nor Gandharv, surely not Saka Purine Dada, I am a Peta, sire, who from Surat have here come." Raja: "How were you virtuous, how behaved you in the past in Surat? Through what holy living of yours have you acquired this splendor?" Peta: "Listen to it, sire, conqueror and extender of the realm, and you too, ministers and attendants of the king, and let the Brahmin priest, listen. I am from Surat, lord. I was a man of evil intent and held false doctrines. My character was bad. I was miserly and had abusive nature. I restrained many who were charitable and doing good, and I barred the way for others who were disposed to give. A gift brings no reward. Where to comes the fruit of self-restraint? There is no teacher at all. Who will chastise him that gives no gifts? Among living beings one's weight equals another's. Why do they honor the eldest? There is neither strength nor energy. Why speak of a man's exertion? A gift bears no fruit at all. It does not purge away an enemy. A man acquires what he is to obtain and receives what is tending to come. There is no mother, father, or brother. There is no world beyond the present. There is no gift. Here is no sacrifice. Nothing well established exists. Whoever injures a man or cuts off another's head, does not do any wrong to living beings. Indestructible and indivisible is a living being. Is octagonal or spherical like a ball. He is 500 yojanas high. Who is able to destroy him? Just as a ball of string which is thrown down rolls away from him who unwinds it, exactly in the same manner the living man rolls away from those unwinding him. Just as he who leaves one village finds his way into another, even so does the living being enter another body. Just as he who departs from a house goes into another, even so does the living being enter another case. After having passed through the cycle of transmigration for 8400,000 great kalpas, both the foolish and the wise will make an end of ill deeds. Both happiness and unhappiness are measured by bushels and baskets. He who is victorious understands all. Other people are dull-witted. Such views I did hold. If I was erring, filled with ignorance, I was a heretic and not virtuous. I was miserly and abusive. In less than 6 months I shall die. Will go down to the exceedingly severe and terrible hell I shall fall. It is four-cornered and has 4 doors. It is divided into parts high measure. It is surrounded by an iron fence and covered on the top with iron. Its iron floor is glowing with heat. Flashing on all sides for 100 yojanas, it exists for all time. 100,000 units pass by and straightway a sound is heard. A lakh has elapsed, sire, which is 100th part is a crore of years. The people who were heretics and of bad character and abused the righteous are tormented in hell for 100,000 crore of years. In that place I shall long suffer pain. Therefore I exceedingly bewail the fruit of evil deeds. Listen to this, sire, conqueror and extender of the realm. Good luck to you, sire. I have a daughter, Uthara. She performs good works and finds delight in the moral precepts and in the feast days. She is self-restrained, liberal, wise of speech, and unselfish. She is completely obedient to her instruction and is a daughter in others' family. She is a lay disciple of the glorious Buddha, the Sakya sage. A Renang, eminent in morals, entered the village to ask for alms. His eyes were cast down. He was mindful, door-guarded, and well-restrained. As he was begging from house to house in regular order, he came to her dwelling. Him did Uthara see, sire, and said, "Good luck to you." She gave him a water jar and various cakes, saying, "My father has died. Reverend sir, may this help him." I no sooner was this done than the result was produced. I am partaking of food and enjoying pleasures like King Jetavana. Hear this, sire, conqueror and extender of the realm. The Buddha is called highest in the world and among devas. Go with your wife and child to Buddha for refuge. O conqueror! By the eightfold way they reach the immortal abode. Go with your wife and child to Dhamma for refuge, O conqueror! Walking the 4 ways, standing in the 4 fruits, this order is upright and devoted to wisdom and morals. Go, conqueror, with your wife and children to the order for refuge. Quickly abstain from killing. Reject what is not given to you in the world. Be no strong drinker. Do not speak falsely. And be content with your own wife. Raja. You think of my welfare, Yakha. You think of my good, Deva. I will do your word. You are my teacher. I approach for refuge in the Buddha and Supreme Dhamma, and I seek refuge in the order of men and devas. I quickly refrain from taking if. I refuse what is not given to me in the world. No strong drinker, I speak not falsely. And I am content with my own wife. I cast away blustering quickly as it were into the river's stream. I vomit out wicked doctrine, delighting in the teaching of the Buddha. Thus spoke the Raja of Surat, renouncing his sinful outlook. When he had paid honor to the Lord Buddha, the eminent monarch ascended his chariot looking to east. The story of Revti. This is identical with V. of Vimanavathu. The story of the sugar cane. While the Lord Buddha was at the Bamboo Grove Monastery, a certain man carrying sugarcane chewed a stalk as he went. The verses show what happened. One day the venerable elder monk Maha-Mosgallana was going for alms to Rajagaha city and met a Peta, who said, "Here to me a great grove of sugarcane appears, broad and bearing a plentiful good crop. Yet it does not offer me anything to eat. Tell me, reverend sir, of what is this the result? I am afflicted and am being devoured. I struggle, I am trying to get something to eat, I am well near dead. Wretched I lament. Of what deed is this the result? I am overcome, and I am falling to the earth. I roll around in heat like a fish, and as I weep, tears are dripping from me. Tell me, reverend sir, of what is this the result? I am hungry, thirsty, and exhausted, I am terrified and get no pleasure nor happiness. Good luck to you. Asking of this matter. How now might I get some sugarcane as food? Maha-Mosgallana. In previous time, when you were a human being in a former life, you did of yourself a deed. Now I tell you of this matter, and when you hear, know it as such. You were eating sugarcane as you were walking along, and a man was coming up behind you. He told you that he wanted some of it, and you replied him never a word. Although you refused to speak, he begged you and said to you, "Sir, give me sugarcane." Then you gave him some from behind. Ill consequence of that deed you have this result. Look here. You may take some sugarcane behind you. Take it and eat it to your heart's content. Through this very act you will become pleased, delighted, joyful, and happy. He went and took it from behind. When he had it in his hands, he ate to his heart's content. By that very means he became pleased, delighted, joyful, and happy. The Peta gathered a bundle of the sugarcane and gave it to the elder monk who brought it to the Buddha at Jetavana monastery. The Lord Buddha together with the monks ate of it and gave thanks. From that time on, the Peta could eat sugarcane in comfort. In the course of time he was reborn among the thrice 10. The story of the Raja's sons. While the teacher was staying at Jetavana, he told this story. It is said that the king of Kosala, who lived at Savatthi, had 2 amiable sons then in the prime of youth. In their unrestrained youthful passion they committed adultery. And after death were reborn as petas who were being crushed in a trench. During the night they used to lament with a dreadful noise. When the people heard it, they were terrified. Since this was the case, they gave a great donation to the company of monks at whose head was the Buddha, saying, "This ill omen must stop." Then they told the Lord Buddha what was taking place. He said, "Disciples, you will not have any end of hearing that noise." He told them the cause of it and spoke the following stanzas. There is a city called Savatthi at the slope of Tb. Himalayas. In that place were 2 princes, sons of a king. So have I heard. Wanton in lusts they found delight in the enjoyment of desire. They were greedy for present pleasures. They did not consider the future. They left their human state and passed from this world to the next. Although unseen, they cry aloud the wickedness which they committed in the past. Saying, "Many people are served with gifts, we have not been able to provide for ourselves a blessing which brings awarding happiness. What wicked deed then may it have been for which we passed from our royal family and were reborn in the realm of the Petas, afflicted with hunger and thirst? They who have been lords here, will not be lords over there. Men both high and low will wander about tortured with hunger and thirst." By knowing that this distress had its origin in the wantonness of rulers, a man may renounce the arrogance of lordship and thus become a heaven-goer. After the breaking up of the body the wise man is reborn in the bright world. Thus the teacher narrated the fate of these Petas, and assigned to them a gift made by these people teaching Dhamma as was his will. The story of the Raja's son. While the teacher was living at Jetavana, he told this story. In it, the son of a Raja named Khuddhaka once upon a time injured a lone Buddha. He suffered in hell many thousands of years, and because of that very offense he was reborn among the Petas later. His story has already been told in detail in the Peta narratives of Sanuvazan. Link. Now the teacher, as he told an elder monk the fate of the Peta's deceased relatives, said, "Not only your kinsmen actually, but you also, on becoming a Peta, in your next existence after having left this world, will suffer great pain." At the elder's request he told this story. The consequence of deeds committed in the past may disturb the mind as regards sight, sound, taste, smell, and pleasant touch. He had enjoyed dancing, singing, love and sport in no small degree, and after he had ridden around in the royal garden, he entered Giribhaja. There he saw the rishi Suneta, who was self-restrained and tranquil. The latter had few wants, was modest, and was pleased with the small food that came into his alms bowl. He dismounted from the back of his elephant and coming to him said, "Reverend sir." Then the prince, grasping his bowl, held it up. He broke the alms bowl on the ground, and laughing went away with the words, "I am the son of King Khuddhaka. What will you, monk, do to me?" The retribution for this unkind deed was severe, since the prince, it is said, was committed to hell. And for 6 times 84 myriads of years he suffered in hell great pain on account of the sin of which he was guilty. He was punished as he in tum was prostrate, lying face downward, and turned on his left or right side. Now with his feet up in the air, then in a standing posture, the fool was tortured for a long time. For many thousands and myriads of years he suffered in hell great pain for the sin he had committed. Verily such a severe penalty is suffered by men who perform evil by laying hands on a pious rishi who is free from sinful blemishes. After he had for many years undergone great affliction in that place, he was killed by hunger and thirst, and deceasing from there he became a Peta later. Thus, having seen the distress caused by the wantonness of a ruler, one should be no wanton ruler but turn to humility. Even in the present life, he who is respectful to the enlightened ones deserves praise. He is endowed with wisdom, and after the breaking up of the body he is born in the bright world. The story of the dung eaters. While the teacher was staying at Jetavana monastery, he told this story. They say that in a certain town not far from Savatthi, a certain householder had a monastery built for the sake of a monk who was his personal friend. Then monks from various parts came there and dwelt there. Upon sight of these, men served to them necessaries of life. Now the monk, who was the confidant of his patron, could not stand this and was filled with envy. Then Maha-Mosgallana saw him and inquired, "Who are you, poor fellow, standing there from cesspool come? I ask you now, what wicked deed did you really perform that you make noise of?" Peta. "I, reverend sir, am a Peta, a miserable denizen of Yama's world. Since I worked a wicker act, I have gone from this world to that of tile petas." Elder. Now what evil deed was performed by body, speech, or mind? In consequence of what act do you undergo this misery? Peta. I had a resident monk who was jealous and envious of the household. In my house he was attached to desires, he was miserly and abusive. I listened to his word and blamed the other monks. Because of that deed, I have gone from here to the region of the Petas. Elder. Your bosom friend was an enemy in the guise of a friend. I ask you now, foolish man, what destiny fell to your lot upon the breaking up of your body and your going to the rebirth beyond? Peta. I am standing on the top, yes, on the head of this same offender. He has reached the Peta realm and attends upon me alone. What others void, becomes my food, and he in turn lives on what I expel. The Venerable Maha-Mosgallana narrated this incident to the Lord Buddha, who interpreted its meaning, and he pointed out the danger of fault-finding. The second story of the dung eaters. While the teacher was staying at Jetavana monastery, he told this story similar to the last. Here it was a lay woman who built a monastery and was reborn a Peta. Verses are similar as in previous. The story of the set of Petas. While the teacher was staying at Jetavana monastery, he told this story. At Savatthi, it is said, there was a set of irreligious people who had no faith and were possessed of the sin of avarice. They were indifferent in their lives as to the ideas they accepted and other matters. After having lived for a considerable time, they died and were reborn as Petas near the city. Then one day, as the Venerable Maha-Mosgallana was going to Savatthi for food, he saw the Petas by the way and asked them,